Most people think the hardest part is losing 70% of your vision to the glaucoma. But what if I told you, in all honesty, that isn't? So let me tell you what actually is the hardest part. You think that running into things, bumping into things, and not being able to see becomes hard. It truly is, but it's not really the hardest part that is affected in your life. So let me break it down what becomes really the hardest part and what you start to notice when you start to lose vision and that you have glaucoma. The isolation. You become isolated. Nobody knows that you're dealing with glaucoma, and then you can't do anything that normal people do. The sudden being able to see to 100% vision to just being able to see 30% vision is almost like debilitating. You can't really see anything, so you become isolated and become secluded because no one understands you. That's just one thing. Another thing is that people treat you differently. Once you're diagnosed with glaucoma and you become technically disabled, if you have severe cases, people start to treat you differently and start to really say, "Oh, do you need help?" Or sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, you can't see that. Here, let me adjust it for you." And maybe they'll be like, "You don't have glaucoma, you're just faking it, and here, just look." And they don't really know your vision, so people will start treating you differently. And especially if you start to have glaucoma, sometimes your friends and other people at your work can treat you differently because they don't understand what you're going through. Think about it. If you're playing sports or doing work and your vision becomes cloudy or more difficult to see, no one will really understand that because you're going through it internally and it's more debilitating for you, but not them. So they start to treat you differently. So that's just a second thing. The third thing is that your lifestyle starts to change. Everything that you start to do that you used to do with vision, 100% vision, or just 90% vision, start to become less and less of that. As you slowly become more blind and less being able to see, every hobby that you used to have becomes harder to do. For example, for me, let's just take it. I used to enjoy walking, going outdoors, or playing basketball. But now I can't really do any of that just because I lost 70% of my vision in my right eye and I have bad hand eye coordination to play sports. I can't even see if a ball's coming at me. So I have to replace sports or basketball or anything like that with just exercise, running, cardio, weightlifting, but weightlifting at your own level. Don't do it too heavy. Do it at your own level where you can handle it. Those are just some things that impact your lifestyle when it comes to this disease. Another hard part when it comes to glaucoma is that the emotional aspect. No one is going to tell you about the emotional aspect and how it affects you mentally. Once you start to deal with glaucoma, you just think, "Oh, I have this disease, so it's basically a silent killer to your eyes. You'll go blind." But in reality, you'll start to have this emotional and mental effect on yourself because you start to think, "Oh my God, am I going to be blind? Or how will my future be? Will I be able to graduate school? Will going to school even affect my eyes? Will too much stress cause my pressure to rise? And will I still be able to see in the future? Can I still drive? I'm so young. How can this affect my future? I'm old. What can I do to preserve my eyes?" And I totally get that. I've been in that scenario. No one told me about that. And I know where you are coming from. So that is one thing no one is really going to tell you is really the emotional and mental side of dealing with glaucoma. These are the harder parts when you get diagnosed with glaucoma because no one really tells you this during the hospitals or the doctor's not going to tell you this or anybody else. They'll just tell you, "Oh, you have glaucoma, so just do these remedies to relieve the pressure." But no one knows that you are facing it in reality, that everything is different because, as I mentioned, you feel more secluded, isolated, your lifestyle changed, the emotional factors, people treat you differently. It's just all taking a toll on you. And it becomes very difficult for you and others because no one understands you. So, my recommendations is that I always advise people with glaucoma is to seek support groups because you want to be in a community that people understand. Because your friends sometimes start to understand, but sometimes they won't. But support groups will definitely understand your situations because they're going through the same thing. If I'm telling you my story about 70% vision loss with my glaucoma, you guys relate. And I'm pretty sure you do relate of how glaucoma is affecting you. Because when I have the same questions about my future, like I do now, about will I still be able to see? Will I be able to continue driving? Will I be able to do so many other things at the age of 26? Because it's just a scary thing to happen and you just have all these questions. I do feel worried just as much as you. Even though I'm making these videos, I want to do it to inspire you. So these are just some ideas and other things that I really want you to know that are the hardest part that no one tells you about. Because the hardest part that you believe is just going blind and bumping into things, but that's not the case. The case is, as I mentioned, that you're going to get all these emotional isolation. People treat you differently and it becomes more debilitating. But for myself, and I want to remind you guys, I've been through this experience and I've grown as a person. I had to figure out who I am and what I started to enjoy. Because when you start to live with the disease long enough, you start to realize what you can and cannot do and what's more able for your body. For me, I start to become more enjoyable when I'm more alone because I start to realize people are not really there for you except family. So that's one thing you start to realize. You realize that you need to cherish more of your moments and your experiences with the people who really truly care about you and your health. Those are one things that you start to notice are important. And some things is just to try new lifestyles and figure out who you are and figure out what you can do for yourself. Because when you get diagnosed, I know it's scary, but try to be prepared and figure out ways to become what you want to be in life. I know some people will treat you differently and it's going to be hard. Trust me. But I know you and I know you can do it. So please, if you do have any questions, just drop them in the comments down below. And if you really enjoyed this video, like it and subscribe for more information because my goal is really to inspire you. I want to inspire you and all your other friends that have any eye disease or just eye health in general because I want to make sure that we don't take our eye for granted because no one really talks about the importance of eyes and I really want to speak about that. So thank you for watching and I really appreciate it for every comment and every like that you give.